All right, we are live. Welcome, welcome. We are going to wait for our feeds to all upload, guys. We'll just sit here, park it here. Allie's eating something. She won't tell me what it is. It looks
I
delicious.
said it is a throat lozenger
It's a throat
made
loss.
with honey and echinacea and ginger and lemon. It's called
Is
Throat
it
Coat.
chocolate? So it's not chocolate covered because
N-
it looked like you were
No,
eating some chocolate.
it's honey. It's honey.
Hi, honey.
It's called Throat Coat, and you can go pick it up at your local Whole Foods or Sprout
Okay.
Farmers Market.
All right.
Happy Thursday, Patriot fam.
Thursday, guys.
As we are celebrating, well, it's not even celebrating, we're just remembering 9/11 today. Today is
Yeah.
a somber day, you guys.
It's
I
a
don't know how
season.
many of you
Yeah.
woke up from either lack of sleep, not sleeping at all, period, sleeping a few hours, tossing and turning, not sleeping well,
Yeah.
but woke up with still a heavy heart, um, and with all the emotions, sad, anger, frustration, all those things. We are here for you.
We're here for you. Allie and it was almost like a little bit of a welfare check. Last night, I know people were kind of touching base with, how are you doing? How are you feeling? And it's odd because we did the same thing 24 years ago on 9/11, today, just checking in with your loved ones, and you're kind of real cognizant of where everybody was because you were hoping. I know we had people that we would actually, I lived downtown Chicago at the time, and my folks were like, I think something's coming your way. We just didn't know where all the aircraft were. So obviously we're monitoring both the 9/11 memorial going on right now in downtown Manhattan, as well as at the Pentagon site and in rural Pennsylvania, as well as the main, I think, topic that we're discussing today with our guests, the untimely death of Charlie Kirk. Allie, this has hit our circle of friends and influence, I think, mainly because this feels like one of our own, somebody that just started out with a smaller platform, expressing his views and his opinions and his voice. And this isn't typical. I mean, it's an assassination, but it's not a typical assassination in terms of somebody that's elected to office, right? So this is really
Mhm.
different, and it feels different.
Well, it is very different. You know, when you think back just a few months ago, our president was almost assassinated because of his power and his vision for America and
Mhm.
for what he stood on.
Yeah,
And he's a politician, right? I mean, not really, but he,
yeah,
in a way, in a sense, is one of us, but not really. He's a little bit further out. But Charlie Kirk was one of us.
yeah.
He was assassinated because of his words, and the power that those words held, and the way that he was able to change minds by engaging in debate. Um, Trump is president. Charlie is us.
Oh, absolutely. You guys, if you're wondering, so our program Open Mic is run a bit differently today. Let me explain. We have had a ton of, um, when you're relying on, I guess what you would call, whether it's Comcast, Xfinity, whoever you use for internet, we've had an inundation of tech issues on Patriot TV's part. So as opposed to running a rerun, which just didn't seem right today, Allie. Uh,
Especially not today. It's
no.
Patriot Day. We have to pick up the mic and keep
Mm.
walking with it.
So things look a lot different today because we are running the show here ourselves. We are not only podcasters, but we're the tech crew today. Taking a look here, this was the White House posted this, obviously 9/11, and America will never forget. And I just want to briefly, before we bring our first guest on, Allie, I want to talk about this specifically because we have this person running, Momdami, running for mayor of New York City, clearly a communist. And I wonder how we get here 24 years later. This was the sentiment 24 years ago. Everybody was an American. Everybody, we put everything else aside, and so many people lined up to serve in the military because of what took place. And then to today, hearing chants again of like death to America with this communist radical uprising that's happening. And somebody like Momdami, what does that mean to New York City if we don't get this right with the mayoral election?
It means socialism. It means that that the 3,000 innocent people that lost their lives because of this horrific terror attack on
Mm,
our own soil have died for nothing.
yeah,
And the 20-year war that we've been in, where I've had friends and family who have been, slain,
yeah,
um, lost their lives, gave their lives for this nation, have done it for nothing. Those that suffer from PTSD from war have been doing it for nothing. It that we can't do that.
yeah.
I actually have a post on my X account that I don't think we've ever shared before, but it's on there as it's pinned, I think it is, and it's what we're on 24 years now.
24 years.
24 years. It's incredible. Um, I made like a little video with the help of a MAGA devil dog, who kind of put the video together. I don't know if you can pull it up, but if you can, it's only about a minute and a half. We can play it.
I'll work on getting it
But
together.
it was during I'll give you a little bit of background on why I started the video. I made the video was because, we were sitting here during all the college campus like riots that were happening, and it was Antifa taking over, and
Mm,
then you had the Free Palestine crew, and they're, shouting death to America, and they're, waving their Palestinian flags, and they didn't want to hear the other side of the argument. They
right.
just wanted to be heard the most. And so I was like, how is it that 24 years, 23 years after like the most horrific thing that we've seen in America so far, do we have people that are overrunning our campuses like this? And we're
Yeah.
just letting them block bridges and walk down bridges of New York City shouting death to America when we've had our first responders and our just firefighters run into buildings that were like on the edge of collapse trying to
Right.
save folks. Like, how did we get here? How did we get here?
Yeah.
It was incredible.
Well,
So
and I love what you mentioned about our college campuses because that was really that was part of Charlie Kirk's heart
yeah,
was to engage with the young people. He himself being a young person, I think 14 years of age when he was kind of trying to carry on what the Tea Party did. Very politically charged, but obviously a great upbringing because he knew his stuff. But he instead of looking at the next the generation coming after us and saying, you know what, these kids just don't get it. They just don't get it. I want my America back. I like my generation. He just said, no, let's engage with these people. This is their America. They need to understand what's at stake. And it was not easy for him. It was not easy, but I want to share this quick video before we bring our next guest on. This was, I don't know, for me, it was very, very touching. I want to show our guest, and then we'll bring on David. Take a listen.
I'm just flesh and bone, but more importantly, I'm a soul. And that soul is accountable to one being. I mean, I've had an unbelievably blessed life. Been doing this now, it'll be 12 years on June 5th.
Such a young man to do it.
So young.
Yeah, so praise God. I mean, I've been all across the world. I've met with world leaders. I've flown in Air Force One, got to know a president. I have an amazing family, the podcast, Turning Point USA, all that stuff. And so you experience that and you're like, what actually matters? What matters is your relationship with the divine, your relationship with your family, your kids, and maybe a close collection of friends, and your relationship with the truth.
That, of course, is Charlie Kirk in his own words. I want to welcome to our show here David Pollock. He's the host of the David Pollock Show, which you can catch also on Patriot TV. David, you have great success in getting the message out to America, much the same way that Charlie Kirk did. And you were with us at Turning Point USA Student Action Summit. So welcome to our show. We're glad to have you.
Yeah, I think right out the gate, and you hit the nail on the head. You said getting the voice out, getting the message out, similar to Charlie Kirk. Mm-hmm. That is precisely why so many of us are feeling so strongly about this today. Whether you knew Charlie or not, whether you liked him or not, for us, at least those of us who've gone, who do this for a living, Charlie is the pinnacle. Charlie is what we all strive to be. Somebody who can build a following, stand in front of a crowd, and deliver the message that we believe is the winning message for America. Charlie was doing it the better than anybody else. He's who we aspire to be. We want to start these organizations. We want to stand in those rooms. We want to have the impact on politics that he had.
Right.
And that's why this has traumatized so many of us. Not only because we knew him. I mean, it's different. Like, we knew Charlie Kirk. Like, that was our group. That was our circle.
Yeah.
And we watched him die 57 times yesterday, every time you opened Acts. But the reason I think it's so traumatic for us, everybody, is because every one of us aspires to be like Charlie, and now every single one of us fears will suffer the same fate in America for speaking. So it makes every one of us sit back and reflect on our priorities. You see Charlie's young children and his family. And I will not hesitate for a second to believe that even despite what happened yesterday, Charlie would do it all again and say it was worth it. Every fighter, everybody who believes in this country would do it all again. And here on the anniversary of 9/11, Allie, you're a veteran, you served. Everybody who lays their life down for this country, whether it's on the battlefield or in front of a microphone in a tent on a college campus, everybody who fights for this country, fights for freedom, they would do it all over again. There is no greater sacrifice than to give your life for something bigger than yourself. We could die in a freaking car accident, you, God forbid, get cancer, get a heart attack, stub your freaking toe on a rusty nail and die of tetanus. We don't know when the Lord calls us home, and being called home doing something that's bigger than yourself, there is no greater glory. So that being said, I think we're all feeling it so deeply today because the left, the radicalization of the left, has tried to silence our speech so desperately, and now they're resorting to violence because they don't want people to hear the other side of the argument. And that's what we're fighting for today. It's what we fought on 9/11. It's what we're fighting on September 10th. And it's what we're going to fight as we go on. You've seen so many leftists, Democrats booing in Congress when they ask for a moment of silence and prayer. You have Democrats on MSNBC saying Charlie asked for this because he was divisive, because they got their feelings hurt. He deserved to die. You have idiots on those stupid little scooters, which should be banned, riding through vigils saying F Charlie Kirk. Like, here's where I'm at today. A line has been drawn. It's time to be lions, not lambs. I'm not calling for violence, but it's time for the end of tolerance. If you're going to be a violent leftist, if you're going to throw water bottles or fireworks or punch a conservative or flip the hat off of my head, I'm calling on Pam Bondi, the Department of Justice, all state attorneys general, to look at our laws and and add political violence enhancements, just like a civil rights violation. If you commit violence, a misdemeanor battery, for example, in an act of political violence, there should be a felony enhancement on that. No more kid gloves. This is how we win. We don't need to act like they do. We don't do what they do. We're not out burning our community businesses. We're not rioting in the streets. What we're going to do is we're going to fight harder. We're going to win more elections. And I think we need to change the law to reflect the changing tone in America. We're not silencing speech. Hate and violence is not speech. And when you take political speech and turn it into political violence, I believe it should be a felony enhancement, and you should spend actual mandatory time in jail. That's how we solve this problem.
Yeah, wow, that's a bombshell.
I love it. Allie, you were telling me on the way in, we were talking on the phone, even our local Christian radio station was having an issue with this because people were commenting on social media. What were they saying, and how did they handle
were sending in like text messages, because with Joy FM you're allowed to, like, you can text them, right? Like, it's real time. And they're getting messages from people that are listening saying that Charlie deserved what he got. And they got so many that they had to address it on air. And I'm in the car with my kids, and my kids are just like, Mom, how can people say that about somebody, that their life didn't matter and that they deserved it? And I like having to have this conversation yet again with my kids. It's like, it's so difficult. But that's where we are right now. It's like we have had a devaluation of life so bad in this nation that people that are needlessly losing their lives, they're like, oh, it is what it is. Whatever. They deserved it because they spewed hate. How is talking about the gospel of Jesus Christ spewing hate?
How is talking about current events spewing
right?
hate?
Or how is that dispelling, propaganda? spewing hate? How is that talking about the actual facts? Spewing hate. No, even if it is hatred, you don't deserve to die for it. Like, that is wild to me.
It is,
And I
Allie.
think
And,
the
and
people
guys,
that think that way are just, you're the problem.
absolutely. President Trump had this to say about it. I want to take a listen to just a portion of what he said yesterday, and then I'll get your reaction to it.
To my great fellow Americans, I am filled with grief and anger at the heinous assassination of Charlie Kirk on a college campus in Utah. Charlie inspired millions, and tonight, all who knew him and loved him are united in shock and horror. Charlie was a patriot who devoted his life to the cause of open debate and the country that he loved so much, the United States of America. He fought for liberty, democracy, justice, and the American people. He's a martyr for truth and freedom, and there's never been anyone who was so respected by youth. Charlie was also a man of deep, deep faith, and we take comfort in the knowledge that he is now at peace with God in heaven. Our prayers are with his wife, Erica, the two young, beloved children, and his entire family, who he loved more than anything in the world. We ask God to watch over them in this terrible hour of heartache and pain.
And that's, I mean, obviously the message is a lot longer there, but the idea that obviously his family wasn't there. At least I've gotten conflicting reports, but I don't think they were there when this happened. But now you've got Erica, you've got her, the two babies. So when you think about this, David, I liked what you said about knowing Charlie Kirk and knowing the fighter mentality, really a warrior. He might not have laced up boots, but he laced up a suit and tie and hit the ground much the same way as a warrior would. You wonder, would he do it all again? I think he understood the risk. Honestly, to be quite honest, we all understood the risk. Anybody who was there in Tampa at the Student Action Summit that had to walk past the mob of people that were out on the street, you understood, like, this is crazy. It's a new level of crazy. I don't think that Trump would have had the success he had in 2024 without your Charlie Kirk. What do you think?
Charlie Kirk and Turning Point played a massive role in the 2024 election. Absolutely. I think there was a combination of factors that led to Trump's success. RFK, Tulsi Gabbard, you have, I want to build an umbrella here for a minute because no, Charlie Kirk and Turning Point was absolutely a significant piece of the 2024 campaign because he spoke to the youth and he got the youth activated and motivated. And before Charlie Kirk and Turning Point, the GOP was exactly that. It was the grand old party and young people couldn't stand to even be thought of being conservative. It wasn't cool. And then you have a combination of President Trump and a combination of people like Charlie Kirk going to college campuses, setting up a table. We got to think how Charlie started with a folding table and a sign that said, "Change my mind."
Yes.
And he would just say, "Let's have a conversation." I mean, that's how it started. And it blew up into what it is today, what it will be.
Yeah.
A real turning point for America. But that being said, I think what we're seeing, and I'm not minimizing Charlie's work at all. Let me be very clear. But the Brandon Strauchs of the world that tells Democrats they don't have to be Democrats, they can walk away. The Scott Pressel's of the world who goes and sits at what are they called? Gun shows and registers voters in gas stations where the gas is high and registers voters. The many grassroots organizations, the moms groups that go around and talk to moms and say, hey, you don't have to suffer at school boards. What we had in the 2024 election, and this is my point here, and this is why I'm saying this, what we had in the 2024 election was America saying enough is enough. And absolutely the youth saying enough is enough was a vital part of that election. When Charlie goes to college campuses, remember, he started getting drinks thrown on him. And look at yesterday, it was an entire courtyard filled with patriots that he inspired to show up. He made it okay to be Republican and conservative on college campuses because of his leadership. But it's not just Charlie. It's our entire movement. It's RFK, it's Tulsi Gabbard's, it's Brandon Strauch's, it's Scott Presler's, it's Allie, and it's Michelle, and it's David. It's all of us that are willing to go out there and talk to people and let them know that there's an alternative version of the American dream, and the one that the left has painted for America isn't the way. And we're waking people up to that. And thanks to platforms like X, where we have the ability to actually reach people in an alternative media, where we're not being fed lies and spoon-fed the Democrat communist propaganda anymore, we have an opportunity to actually connect to Americans and spread the word. And that is why I think, although Turning Point was very significant in the 24 election, I think Turning Point is going to be even more significant in 2026, 2028, and beyond, because the message is we need to talk to these people. We need to let them know that our ideas are better than theirs. They have hate, we have love. We have community, they have division. And so, although, yes, 2024, huge, I think 2026 and beyond, if we can learn from Charlie and show the other side love, not hate, and deliver messages and ideas that are better for America, painting a picture of love for this country and respect for this country and dignity, I think our tent grows. I think our party grows. And I think at the end of the day, we continue to win. And that's how we win. We have to fight them and beat their hate with compassion, love, and community. And I think that's the answer. And I think that's Charlie's contribution beyond Turning Point.
Yeah, this is Time Magazine's cover that they're coming out with. Enough, the killing of Charlie Kirk and the epidemic of American political violence. You said it at the top of the show, David. We might need to pivot to what we consider, how we're punishing this. What are we going to do as Americans? I don't think, obviously, our founding fathers had an idea of what it was going to cost them to have to start this revolution in our country. They knew that it was going to cost their lives. I don't think they thought speaking on a college campus, it was going to cost them their life. I think we have to jump ahead to the times that we're in now. And I wonder if our attorney generals across the country have what it takes, certainly, hopefully here in the state of Florida, to address this. And I don't want to let it segue into this gun violence discussion, because as we saw with the young lady on the train in North Carolina, it's not just guns, it's violence. It's just violence.
Right.
It's the idea that we can't stand here and do this and have this political debate. We used to do it when I was in school. We did it all the time. You were forced to not only debate what your stance was, but then the teacher would flip it and say, okay, now debate the other side.
Right.
Because you have to be able to have thick skin. We don't do that anymore in this country. Or in our culture. So I'm wondering, if Time Magazine is feeling this, maybe there's a lot of people, David and Allie, that are feeling that same sentiment.
I think so. I'm sorry, guys. I'm a little out of words today.
I know.
It's a heavy day.
When you words for a living and then the words don't want to come, you're like,
Well, I keep going back to, we were attacked for our stance on freedom, and for wanting freedom, and for wanting to encourage other nations to be free, to live like we did, by having, sovereignty and not being oppressed by our own government. And then with the events of yesterday, history doesn't repeat, it rhymes. And while this did not kill 3,000 innocent people, it definitely harmed, I think, millions of people in America, and not even just on our side. I think everybody feels this because it is what it is. At the root of it, it's the silencing of a differing opinion. It's silencing, and it's like an attack on our First Amendment. You can't speak. If I don't agree with you, you're not allowed to speak.
Take a listen to Charlie Kirk himself.
At the core of the left, at the core of a liberal, is someone that would use the sword if they had it. They are very violent people at their core. They always have been. They can't debate. They can't have conversation. So they'll resort to these tactics. They're going to do everything they possibly can to try to murder this movement because they can't beat us. So they're going to try to take weapons. And no, we're very aware of that. I'm aware of it. We have to have full-time security. This is not a joke. This is who these people are.
What I loved about him, though, the most is that he would have people that disagreed with him come to the front of the line. He didn't want to debate somebody or talk to somebody that really, he did, but it wasn't like in his forefront. His forefront was trying to talk to those that vehemently disagreed with him. And then they would come to the podium, or they would come to the mic, and he would put his mic down and wait for them to talk. He would pick it up and speak, and they would interrupt him, and he would let them, but then he'd start again. And it was just a show, a sign of respect for the other side, aside for a differing opinion. I may not agree with you, but here, let me explain why I think the way I do, and
Right.
maybe we can find a common ground. And that's what I loved about Charlie.
I want to get into the security and potentially what took place with the perpetrator really getting away. I want to get into all that later in the show. I know, David, you're going to stick around, right? Because we're going to bring in our next guest.
Oh yeah, sure.
All right, so we'll talk to David in just a moment. I do want to bring in our next guest. His name is Camden Bettinghouse. He's no he's no stranger to Allie and I. He's been on the home front with us. He's got his own programming with No Filter Gen Z. You want to talk about igniting the young people in their voice? Camden is really the product of that. But he had a great interaction even with Charlie Kirk, and I know Charlie Kirk has played a big role in his life. So please welcome to Open Mic, Camden Bettinghouse. Hi, Camden. How are you doing today? Considering.
All right, considering everything, but thank you for having me. I have a lot to say, so we'll hopefully
I'm
get
sure
into
you do. If it's okay, I know you shared with me, there's a short video that you have really from an interaction that I think took place in Tampa, if I'm not mistaken. We were there with you. I want to just kind of show our audience a little bit of this interaction and then get your thoughts on it.
Charlie,
How are you?
good. My name is Camden. I've been a supporter for you for a long time. And I have a quick question, or two quick questions. The first one is, why are colleges getting so much more liberal in this generation specifically, and what can we do about that?
Well, I will say students are becoming more right-wing. I mean, this is amazing. Would you say this campus is pretty liberal?
Yes,
Yeah.
very.
Do you guys feel as if on campus that if you speak out as a conservative, you are graded differently?
Yes.
Yeah. So you guys feel as if you say a conservative view, you'll be graded negatively.
Yes.
Yeah. So tell me more about that. I would just be curious.
I'm in an economics of women and work class, and I'm like the only one in the
There's an
class.
economics of woman.
Yes, it was required. It was required, and I'm the only pretty much conservative in the class that believes that the gender pay gap is a myth. That
Yeah, obviously, it is,
yeah,
of course.
but they're so stern on grading as if there is one. So if I say something that's against that, then I'm graded differently.
This proves my point that college is a scam. You should not be forced to go into debt to study things that are not true.
Right.
I reject the whole premise. But yeah, look, part of the problem is that it's taxpayer funded. President Trump is waging a war against the college cartel, saying that federal taxpayer money will not go to schools like this if they teach garbage like critical race theory, DEI, transgenderism ideology. It's going to be a process actually unfolding that. But yeah, the other problem is that these professors have never done anything in the real world, many of them. They have lived in their kind of circles of abstractions for their entire life. And again, I truly believe that if you were to go, and I'm not saying everyone should not go to college, but I think it's actually something you should consider. I think that doing a gap year instead of just going right into college and spending the equivalent money, like if I could ask, are you in state or out?
He goes on to ask about the cost of college, which we can talk about that as parents. That is definitely a real thing. So this interaction you had with him, you go on to ask him to be on your podcast at some point, but this has mattered to a lot of people in your generation because he's actually engaging with you guys. Tell me what yesterday, what that meant to you, and what do you see going forward really for the young people in your generation?
Yeah. Sorry. It's a hard day. Charlie was a beacon of hope for us, on a college campus where everyone is hateful and liberal and crazy. There was someone who actually stood up for us. And he was a beacon of hope for God, and he actually took the word and lived it out. He's the number one example I've ever seen in my life of someone who lived out the word of God and didn't waver in his faith no matter what happened. I mean, he took a bullet for us. It's what Jesus says is the greatest act of love, is to lay your life down for a friend. And he was a hero to me. I got a signed hat from him, and I got to actually talk to him. And I'm grateful for that interaction. But it was more than that. It was like, I feel like I lost a close friend. I feel like I lost someone close to me, and I feel like millions of people around the world are feeling that right now. And I remember when I found out the news, I dropped to my knees and just started praying for divine intervention, like we saw with Trump and we've seen before. And I don't know why God didn't do it this time, and I'll probably never know that. But what I do know is that God takes what the enemy means for evil and turns it for good, and he will use this to tenfold the conservative Christian movement to fulfill our purpose like Charlie did. I think he played a pivotal, crucial turning point in our generation, literally. And I don't think that's like on accident. I think everything happens how it's supposed to happen. And God, for some reason, couldn't intervene this time for some reason we won't know right now. But what I do know is that if there's evil like this in the world, it doesn't deter me from my faith. It doesn't turn me and question my faith. It actually strengthens it, because when you see something like this so horrifying, it can only mean that there has to be something greater in the next life. There has to be. Like, it just doesn't make sense without it. There's no logical conclusion to it. But what I will say for the future is, Charlie, this is not just because Charlie Kirk got assassinated, that doesn't mean this is the end. This is actually the beginning. Charlie Kirk was the one who started this movement, and it's up to us to continue it. I mean, what would he think right now? I think when Trump went down and said, fight, 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 Charlie Kirk would repeat those words to us right now if he could. He would say, fight, fight, fight. He would say, get back up and stand strong and courageous like he did, even till the last moment of his life. And I think that more than anything, who he was as a man of God will impact people for generations to come. And he was a hero to me.
Camden, to hear somebody your age, and obviously, you're a dear friend, so I've been around you. I've been around your family. We love you like a son. To hear you just talk the way you do, so eloquently about not only current events, because I know you cover them on your show, but to talk about your faith. I love that you're able to give that kind of credit to somebody like Charlie Kirk to say, listen, we are very polite in the conservative movement. I just had this discussion with a school board member, right? Yep. We are very polite. And in the faith movement, you're extremely polite, right? You're trying not to stir people to anger. Well, if you're not Allie and I, you're trying not to stir people to anger. But I think that gets taken advantage of as naivety and softness. And you fall kind of to the prey of bullying. And so when somebody really pushes back, your first instinct is to try to de-escalate, right? Like you're peacemakers ideally. And I think what Charlie Kirk represented, at least for me, was in those moments when you feel like your voice is shaking and you're fighting back the tears, whether that's in your personal life or because of the tragedy that you've seen play out, you get that quiet resolve, that peace that passes all understanding that the Bible talks about. And it allows you to double down. Yeah. And I see that in you. I obviously see it in Allie, but Allie, chime in here. I know you were there. You were there when Camden was speaking with Charlie Kirk. We were both there. We both went to the Tampa campus.
No, it was great. I mean, I was excited that you got to have that opportunity. I know we had talked before that was something that you were aiming to do. That was like your goal of even going, was like, I just want to go and talk to him.
I just want to talk to him.
That was it. And then the fact that, that happened was just an incredible moment for you. And I remember like you leaving and like just your face was just this glow and you were just so excited and so proud of yourself and so happy in that moment. And those are the kinds of moments that we need to cling to and because that helps us move forward. And just remembering what that legacy that he was trying to build for us, that momentum, we need to carry that baton and that bastion, keep moving forward, because he is essentially the lighthouse, right? Like he stood there and did the hard thing. And at a time where Gen Z did not feel like they had a voice, and it didn't matter how many times they spoke up, they felt like they were squashed by this giant, this Goliath of a thing, right? Like you're on this campus, you can't host meetings, you can't do prayers, you can't say conservative, your speech was completely like squashed, and like you got in trouble for saying certain things. There was even a point where you were even afraid to walk on campus, like wearing specific things, like, oh gosh, I can't even wear red, they're gonna think I'm MAGA. Like that is insane on a college campus in America, like of all places. And so the fact that Charlie Kirk went to these things, it was incredible, because he's essentially walking into the lion's den, but he's able to disarm with giving proper information. And I'm just glad that he was able to give that voice. And they just made a martyr and made this movement grow tenfold.
I think he just birthed thousands
Of
and millions of
I
more
am
mini
Charlie
Charlie
Kirk.
Kirks that are going to keep doing the same thing.
Flag,
It's
I
it's
am Charlie
literally
Kirk.
the start of something way bigger. And like, take me for example. I think I've actually today been thinking about this. I now understanding all these messages coming in saying like, you're the first person I thought of. Hope you're okay. I'm a living example of Charlie Kirk's impact. I would not have done. I do shows now. I wouldn't have done this stuff if Charlie Kirk didn't speak up. I wouldn't have felt
Right.
like I could do it. He gave me courage when no one else did, and I even wrote a book because of him. Not to plug the
Talk
book.
about
I'm just
that.
saying,
Talk
like,
about it. Talk about it. Yes.
all this stuff was because of the impact Charlie Kirk had for young conservative people that felt like there was no direction.
And he kind of breathed life into like the males, right?
Yes.
Male driven, like get married, have kids.
Yeah, exactly. He
build
was a
your life,
family man.
right?
He
Be
had all the
successful.
things. He had
Give
all
it
the
to God.
things.
Ugh.
Yep.
He served God and he wanted people to go to God. All he did was preach the gospel. All he did on campuses was hear people out and then tell them what he thought was the truth and to help them understand the truth. And look, the Bible says we will be persecuted for following Jesus. All the disciples were killed as well. I'm not surprised. All I know is Charlie Kirk was right now hearing, well done, good and faithful servant in heaven because of what he's done for us here. And I just say, I think we all need to, be praying right now for Erica and the kids, because this is the part I don't understand. Like, I get it. I get a lot of things have to happen the way they do, but the part that no one will ever truly understand is the gap that family will feel now.
Well, and loss is real and grief is real, and it's hard. We know that. I know this firsthand in our family. It's hard to understand, and it comes and goes in waves. And my hope and prayer is that there are people surrounding this family right now, Erica and the children, that can be there for the duration. Because lots of times it's very crowded right after a tragedy, and then people kind of just taper off, and then you're left with a lot of loneliness. Camden, we're not shamefully plugging your book, but it's not shameful. We are going to plug your book. Part of what we love about Charlie Kirk is he was a man's man. He made no apologies for that. You wrote a book recently. Let our viewers know the book and also where they can get it.
Yeah, I mean, it might as well be Charlie Kirk's book. Like, so many of the things that he taught is what I was saying, and I was just relaying the message that he did. It's called Fearless Masculinity. You can just Google that and find it. It's about embracing the man that God created you to be. And that's what Charlie Kirk told people to do. That's what he did. He told us, get married, have kids, be a man, step up, provide, protect, lead. And that's what he echoed to me. And I actually took what he was saying and made a book out of it and made action from it. And I think that's just a testament to how impactful his legacy was and will be forever. And I want to just read a scripture that has been on my heart that Charlie Kirk just embodies. It says in 2 Timothy 4, verse 7, I have fought the good fight. I have finished the race. I have kept the faith. Finally, there is laid up for me the crown of righteousness, which the Lord, the righteous judge, will give me on that day. And he did. He fought the good fight. He did what he had to do. And now it's up to us to take the torch, continue the legacy, and make good out of this, because this is only the beginning. Only the beginning.
He even said that they were going to try to murder him because he was so impactful to the movement.
Yep.
And it's no mistake that it happened before the midterms. I think the midterms were going to be extremely important moving forward, more important than the 28 election, I believe, because midterms is where we win or lose certain seats in the House. We lose our leverage. And so I know Charlie Kirk was very, very adamant about getting people out to vote in the midterms. And so he even said it on his podcast when he was talking about how, the left is just full of hate and evil. And he's like, they're just going to try to murder me and it's fine. Like, it's so hard to like even go back to thinking about some of the things that he has said in previous conversations or podcasts and interviews that he's been in. Hindsight is always 2020. So it's almost like you may have, I always wonder, because I'm a very intuitive person. So I always wonder, like, did he feel different that day? Like when he woke up, like, did he feel like something was off, or like that today was the day, or was he just as bright and as light as he's always been?
He just had a courage and bravery about him that can only come from his faith. Like the way he sat down 6 feet away from people on hundreds of campuses with no fear of what could happen to him. He didn't
even care.
He risked it all. He knew the risks, and he still did what he did for us.
He said too that his prayer before he headed out to any campus before his interviews, his prayer was, "Lord, use me for your will."
Yep.
And that was it. So he had no fear.
Well,
And
and
I
you
mean-
guys, yeah, you mentioned what he had said about it being a spiritual battle. Guys, I just found this clip. I want to go ahead and share it with our viewers.
The spiritual battle is coming to the West.
Yeah.
And the enemies are wokeism or Marxism combining with Islamism to go after what we call the American way of life. And the American way of life is very simple. I want to be able to get married, buy a home, have kids, allow them to ride their bike till the sun goes down, send them to a good school, have a low crime neighborhood, not to have my kid be taught the lesbian, gay, transgender garbage in their school, while also not having them have to hear the Muslim call to prayer 5 times a day. That's important. We want the American way of life, which is, by the way, Christendom. Christians, our sacrifice, our toil, our vision, the outgrowth of the scriptures gave us Western civilization. And this is where I think is a great rallying cry. Doesn't matter if you're Hispanic, doesn't matter if you're Asian, doesn't matter if you're black or white. Everybody, if you are Christian and Jesus Christ is your Lord and Savior, these two threats are combining forces to come after us. And it's time that the church stands and rises up against it.
Yep. The church is going to be changed forever now. I mean, there's no more just sitting back and letting people say and do whatever they want to do, because this is what happens in a society when you normalize saying you're okay just the way you are. When people have mental illnesses and things about them, if you just normalize that and accept that and just let people be, this is what it turns into, you know? And so the church, I think it will be changed forever and speaking truth.
And listen, we just recently talked in our show about the Supreme Court really saying that the 501c3 status that churches carry does not mean that they can't get political or endorse candidates. So I hope we see an embracing of the church to be able to just preach what the Bible says, literally, and how we carry that out into the ballot box. Like the number one thing I hear in the pews in church after service is how wonderful service is. I mean, in our church that Allie and I go to, we know they carry this out very well, but a lot of churches make people feel really good and really warm and fuzzy. And then you walk out of that church and you're going, how do I carry that with me day to day? What does that look like? What does it look like when I parent? What does it look like when I'm at work? What does it look like when I'm alone? What does that look like when I'm at the ballot box? And we need their guidance. We need their direction and the boldness that really, that Jesus carried. We need that. We're giving you permission as our parishioners, as our pastors, to please engage in this. We're hungry and thirsty for it. Camden, thank you so much for joining us. I know you're no stranger to open mic. We're definitely going to have you on again, sir. You still have your No Filter Gen Z, right? Tell people where they can get that.
Yeah, we'll be live today at 3:30 p.m. on youtube.com/@NoFilterGenZ talking about this whole thing and honoring the legacy and life of Charlie Kirk. So you can find us there and be ready. We're going to continue his legacy. I wouldn't have started that show without him.
God bless you, Camden. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me on.
Thank you.
This is our turning point. All right, I just wanted to play this real quick.
I'm going to bring David Pollack back on.
I only do the gospel. I don't touch politics. How would you respond to an American pastor that
I'm not really sure where is it in the Bible. Like Joseph was a politician, Joshua was a politician, Elijah spoke to politicians, Elisha spoke to politicians, Daniel, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego were politicians, Solomon, David were politicians. I'm not really sure, to be honest, what Bible are they reading, because it's definitely not the same Bible we are reading, right?
It's a dominant point of view, and that's why Jensen Franklin and this church deserve such credit for hosting an event like this, because the majority of American churches stayed silent during this last election. They refused to speak out or even celebrate the reversal of Roe versus Wade.
A lot of churches in America are communists accidentally, and they don't know.
Well, it's true, Allie. And listen,
the goal of communism
in 2024,
out of the public square.
Hang on. So this is important. He's talking about how Karl Marx literally said, my goal is to kick God out and destroy capitalism. And when pastors participate in the lie of the church, and they shouldn't speak about politics, they are going off of a communist worldview and not a Christian worldview. So I thought that was important since we were on the topic.
Absolutely, Allie. And it's one of the things that, like I said, I hope we see a bravery in the church. Welcome back to the show, David Pollock. I wanted to bring you back on, David, because now going into the investigation of this, obviously some of the things that I think I worry about is, the 2 assassination attempts on Donald Trump's life. We have so few answers right
Yeah, we
now.
still don't know anything about Thomas Cook.
We
Where's all
really
that
don't.
info?
We really don't. There's a trial about to begin here regarding the Mar-a-Lago attempt. It's taking place here in Florida. Maybe there'll be more forthcoming with stuff. But what do we know, guys, so far? Because they detained a couple of people, as I understand it. They were not the correct people. It's not till we had bystander video of somebody on the roof, similar to Butler, Pennsylvania. What do we think we're going to see in this? Are we going to be able to catch the guy or girl?
I think. Go ahead, David.
Well, no, I'm sorry. I'm kind of actually distracted because a Wall Street Journal article just dropped, and it says ammunition in Kirk shooting engraved with transgender anti-fascist ideology.
Yeah, I was just going to read that. So,
and so I'm watching this, and just Wall Street Journal just dropped it. They found ammunition engraved with expressions of transgender and anti-fascist ideology inside the rifle that authorities believe was used in the fatal shooting of Charlie Kirk, according to an internal law enforcement bulletin and a person familiar with the investigation. It was an older model 30 caliber hunting rifle. It was discovered in the woods near the scene of Wednesday's shooting at the Utah Valley University, wrapped in a towel with the spent cartridge still in the chamber. There was also 3 unspent rounds in the magazine, all with wording on them. Mm-hmm. Very exact same situation as the Catholic school shooting in Minneapolis. Mm-hmm. This is, again, leftist-inspired trans radical terror. That's what this is. On 9/11, it's important to call out terrorism for what it is, and it still exists.
Thank you.
And it changed that little, what do they call it, the kaifka or whatever that stupid little Palestinian scarf is. They changed the attire. That's all they did. And now they wear that stupid little scarf and a dress. That's the only thing that changed. Same terrorists.
Yes.
And this is what we're facing. The new terrorist threat in America is trans radical activists inspired and protected by the radical left, the elected Democrats in this country that stand shoulder to shoulder with these monsters. And it's time to call it out for what it is.
And they're locking arms with radical
terrorists.
Yep, with radicalists.
Terrorists. Let's just call them what they are.
Exactly.
They're terrorists.
So, this brings me to a really good conversation. Maybe we'll have it right here. We've seen Trump label cartels as terrorists because they're bringing poison and smuggling humans across the border, trying to the demise of America, which very much is a terroristic thing to do. Do we see that? Do we think Trump potentially might go that route? I mean, could we potentially see, hypothetically, obviously, you've got HHS director Robert F. Kennedy Jr., who's now doing studies on what do these chemicals that people are giving themselves to transition the hormones. What does that do to their psyche? And should they be able to have weapons? If we have to discuss this, guys, whether or not we're going to actually label this, as David said, for what it is. Terrorism.
It is domestic terrorism. And I do believe that the FBI director and the DOJ are looking into how to classify this, right? Like we've even heard it from SecDef. Well, he's not even SecDef anymore. He's Secretary for. I love it.
I love it.
But yeah, they've even hinted at, taking a look at maybe classifying a new classification of terrorism because this is essentially what is happening. It is exactly like David said. I couldn't say it any better than David. He literally nail on the head right there. So
I do want to play this a short clip of this video, guys. This was on Jesse Waters on Fox News, where he is talking to an FBI agent, talking about this being a very methodical, almost hitman type of scenario. Take a listen.
I think this assassination, different than the assassinated attempt back in Butler, Pennsylvania, was a very well planned, very well orchestrated plot that was put in motion days before. And this individual had a plan of escape to elude detection of being up on a rooftop, and also being able to evade and elude law enforcement after that shot was taken. When you take a look at what happened in Butler, Pennsylvania, crooks came onto the venue, He left the venue. He came back. He was questioned. I mean, it was really an amateur scenario. This assassination of Charlie Kirk, to me, is indicative of a professional hit. And I'm not so sure that we are going to quickly be able to apprehend this individual without some luck, hopefully.
What y'all think of that? And I'm getting word now that they're saying that really the shooter arrived on campus around 11:50 a.m. So they're piecing together some of the video camera footage that they have.
Yeah. Yeah, they got some info from like a doorbell, like a ring or a door camera.
Ring cam, yeah.
Yeah. And that's essentially what this is, just craziness. Like all this info that's coming in. I hope they find him.
They will. They have
And
him on
I
ring
hope
camera
they
video.
They find him alive.
Well, they have him on ring camera video. So after he got out of his attire and fled, because he fled from the building into the woods and then through a neighborhood. And that's where they found that rifle. And so I believe they must be the fact that this information is coming out, it means either they're out of leads or they're closing in. It's one or the other.
Yeah.
But it doesn't take away from the fact that I just posted on X, this is trans radical terrorism.
All right, well, the
Homegrown
leftists-
trans radical terrorism, supported, promoted, and protected by America's radical left. Politicians who booed in Congress yesterday, to Tim Walz and his lieutenant governor who wore a knife on his shirt that said protect trans kids, to that lunatic woman in that city council, I forget where it was, that was shrieking, we love trans people, protect trans people, we need trans people. This isn't about trans people. This is about literally a group of terrorists, homegrown in the United States, that put on the costume of a woman and pretend it has anything to do with trans issues. What it has to do with the hate of America, the hate for Americans, and this is homegrown terror with a costume of transgender ideology. Their flag is the same as ISIS, and they should be treated, hunted, rounded up, imprisoned, and tried as terrorists in the United States. The word anti-fascist should be treated as the call to prayer in their ideology. They are no better than the people who attacked us in 9/11. They're just as dangerous, and they should be treated as such.
Well, David, I was almost going to ask the question, but I think you answered it for me very eloquently there. How does this change the independent journalist podcast culture that we find ourselves in?
Doesn't change it. We're not changing. We're not going away. We're just going to call. You have to be able to identify your enemy to beat them. And now, and this is what we've struggled with for so long, right? We've struggled with being able to say who it is we're fighting against. Is it the left? Is it the Democrats? Is it the radical left? Is it liberals? Is it liberal ideology? Is it anti-American? Is it Antifa? Is it BLM? Like all these groups just keep changing shape. But now this is different, right? Yeah. Now that we know that this person was, again, another trans radical terrorist, now that we know they're a trans radical terrorist, just like the one who killed those children, we now have multiple attacks in America in 2025 from trans radical terrorists targeting Americans.
Yep.
This needs to be a full-blown terror investigation, and we need to treat them as domestic terror, unlocking all of the funding, all of the resources, and that means any of those people who wear masks in public with Antifa flag, the phrase anti-fascist is the same as calling for war. We need to treat every time those people show up and hold these no king signs and say no fascist, we need to round them up and question them. It's not an attack on free speech. This is a terror organization that's funded, organized, and protected by the highest levels of liberal government. And it's time that the federal government root out this terror threat. That's what I'm saying.
I agree.
Let's talk about security, because I remember watching Charlie Kirk talk about after Butler, Pennsylvania, and the incident with Trump nearly assassinated. There was talk about, and I've had this talk with friends as well, that, maybe the outdoor events aren't a good idea. I know Allie and I you were there too, David, for the inauguration when they bring everybody inside. Like they made some distinct decisions because the threat level was so high. How do we start looking at our coming up on 2026? A lot of our venues that we do as candidates are outdoors. Do we start looking at this differently? The security measure, I know Charlie Kirk did take security serious, but Allie and I have been to many of his events on college campuses where you are out in the quad area and anybody has a clear shot. Do we look at that differently now?
David.
Sorry,
I think so.
totally enamored. Now listen, let me
A good shot.
let me say something real quick because it just occurred to me. Sorry, I know. Usually, I'm all.
I know.
This is a lot.
Breaking news.
It's a lot to process.
Let me tell you this. I don't. You showed that clip, and I'm going to take it full circle. I don't think this person is some kind of professional assassin.
I don't either.
I think he was a trans radical activist who trained to use a weapon, took a shot at a reasonable distance for the type of weapon used. A hunting rifle from that distance is effective. 200 yards isn't that far. You train for 200 yards. 200 yards. If you go to a shooting range, they're either 50 or 100 yards in the damn shooting range. And if you have a rifle with a scope, you can hit that all day. If you go with a pistol, maybe you'll hit it. But the idea is, I think by painting this guy as being some kind of professional, really just excuses the fact that we haven't found him yet, and excuses the fact that it's terror. And people are going to blur the narrative and be like, how could this be radical, homegrown domestic terror if this is a professional? It's Israel. It's Iran. They're going to try to make it seem it's not what it is. I just posted what I just told you guys, and immediately one of the comments was, why would a professional sniper leave behind a weapon with ammunition engraved? Because he's not a freaking professional sniper. He's just a trans radical activist. That's what he is. We're going to catch him, but it doesn't change what I just said 5 minutes ago. We have a homegrown domestic terror or element called trans radical activism. Antifa needs to be labeled a terrorist organization. Every organization that uses the word anti-fascist, any pro-trans violent organization needs to be labeled and investigated as domestic terrorists, just like they did school board moms.
Allie and I were domestic terrorists. Remember the good old days, Allie?
Right. It is time. It's time. Gloves are off.
I do think that, I mean, we were listening to Chad in Spaces yesterday or last night. And he kind of was talking about how the like radical Islam kind of their coordinations work in Afghanistan and Iraq, and how like these cells don't really know about each other. So like what kind of triggered that? He's like, it's a theory and we can jump down this rabbit hole if you want to. But the reason why he said that was because you had 3 people that kind of gave diversion. And even though they were arrested, they couldn't point to each other because they didn't know. But then there's also a video of a guy who, after the shot was taken, turns around and looks in the direction of where the shot came from. And he's like shouting up and down, like, yes, this happened. Like he was excited about it. And so it's like, how many people knew? And then you go to the Sky app and there's hundreds of people on there talking about how this was going to happen the day before. And like, oh, Charlie has no idea what's coming his way tomorrow. Like tomorrow's going to be a big day. Like, so it is a possibility that maybe there have been conversations about this, or that there could be, you know, intelligence that has, you know, spread among different factions of this radicalized terror. But again, I don't think that the person that actually took the shot probably, I mean, maybe we don't even really know. I don't know. Dan Bongino 72-hour rule, I guess, before it makes.
I hate that 72-hour rule, guys. I want to show
But
this.
David is 1000% correct. It is trans radical terrorism.
I want to show this clip because I know everybody that is involved in I guess our circle and movement really worked hard in the lead up to the 2024 election. Arguably none more than Scott Pressler, your Charlie Kirk's. This was him when he received the news of Trump being back in the White House. I thought it was just very endearing. This is what this movement meant to him. Take a listen.
Fox News decides Donald Trump is president of the United States. We've got our republic back, folks.
Let's go.
There it is. Everybody should remember this moment. Look, I'm gonna echo Charlie from earlier. Remember where you were when this happened. Remember where you were when you realized that the Uniparty and all of these, you know, just the establishment, you said it's time to actually participate. And look what you guys have done.
And if anyone deserves to get tears in his eyes, it's Charlie. I think we all agree.
I think Erica was chopping some onions or something in the break room.
No one has worked harder than Charlie for this.
We gotta hear some words here from you, Charlie. You put all this together, my man. Let's hear it.
I am just humbled by God. It's all God. It's all God. God alone. God alone. Decision desk has it. Pennsylvania. It's beginning.
Wow.
it's the beginning. And I think that's the sentiment that we all walk away with today, is that even though we talked before coming on, it was like, oh, we're going to do this. We're going to somehow do this. It's the beginning. And I think it's fitting that his organization is Turning Point USA, because we are in fact at a turning point in the United States. Any last words before we sign off here? I'll go with David first.
No, it's time for us to be vigilant, and it's time for us to be smart, not violent. It's time for us to use the power we have in the U.S. government, use our laws, enhance our laws, and root out the homegrown domestic terrorists, extremists right now, especially today on the anniversary of 9/11. Never forget, by the way, prayers for the families and the victims from 9/11, and prayers for the family of Charlie Kirk.
Amen. Allie, last words.
It's a heavy day. It's actually been a really heavy week if you think about everything that's taken place. Even the last several months has been quite crazy, but we have resolve. We are Americans, and we have resolve, and we will always move forward with courage, because we are the home of the free because of the brave. And with what took place yesterday and what we are remembering today, it is important for us to remember the oath that we take when we put our hand over our heart and pledge allegiance to the United States of America and the republic she stands on, that we do have courage to move forward, and that we honor those that have lost their lives, whether fighting the war or innocently because of war or because of terror attacks or because of assassinations, that we just hold that baton and move it forward, because these colors don't bleed. We run.
I love that, Allie. I love that. And I'll tell you guys, just being here with you guys today, this is why your voice matters so much. What David does matters. What Allie does matters. What you're doing at home matters. This is why one of the first calls I had to make was to Allie, not just last night, but this morning, and to friends that are dear to me, because as Camden said, you never know when your voice is that voice of courage that might spawn action in somebody else. And so that's why we continue. We have to continue. This isn't, excuse me, this isn't easy to do after tragedy, but people are watching and people are leaning on us and looking to us for guidance. So keep doing what you're doing. David, I want to make sure you let our viewers know where they can find you and where they can tune into you.
Find me at David Pollock USA, David Pollock USA, TikTok, Twitter, or X, I'm sorry, Instagram, everywhere. And of course, you could see me right here on patriot.tv on Mondays. Time moving.
Love that. And of course, you'll be back on open mic. And I'm hoping there's a big celebration in December at the Turning Point AmFest that they have out there in Arizona. Hopefully we'll see both of you guys out there. But guys, that's it for us here on Open Mic. Make sure you follow at Open Mic Ladies on all social media platforms. Catch us here, usually with a different production, God willing, Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. Eastern. Guys, thank you so much. Take care.